Hello and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat. Today we're here to talk about Chelsea and whether they've got too many strikers. Now this is a bit of a luxury issue, isn't it? You look at a lot of sides and they'd love to have a player of the quality of Sam Kerr, Mia Fishel, Mayra Ramirez, Cat Macario, even Aguiva Jones could play up there. But for Chelsea, it does create a little bit of a conundrum because how do these players coexist? How do you fit them all in? It's a nice problem, but it is a problem for Sonia Bompastor.
Yeah, very much so, because the problem is when you have, obviously I know a lot of teams have rotation strikers, but the problem is when you have 2 or 3 world-class strikers, they all want to start every game. They don't want to be dropped. They all want to be playing in their position, leading the line, and they don't want to miss a minute. The problem is when you've got 3, you can't play them all. Then you end up missing minutes and then you end up with unhappy players. And then you've got some of the best players in the world sat on the bench, unhappy and pushing for a move. So it's a very nice problem to have in terms of on the pitch, but in terms of the off the pitch atmosphere, it is a very hard problem to manage if you are Sonia Bompastor.
The other difficult thing that's got to be considered is, of course, Chelsea will start the season with just Mayra Ramirez and no other strikers. Obviously, there's other players. Cat Macario can play in that role. Aguiva Jones, even Lauren James could definitely play as a striker. So it's not like they're in an awful situation. But not having Kerr and Fishel there from the start does make it more difficult, because if you were trying to implement some sort of system where Kerr and Ramirez can start together, well, you're going to have to wait till January at the very earliest, you'd think, obviously, with Kerr's injury. So for me, this creates a real big issue. But with, obviously, Sam Kerr announcing that contract extension, she will be here. Almost looked like she didn't. Obviously, there was that teaser from Chelsea.
Not funny.
But then I was going to say I was in tears. Then I saw the other video and suddenly there were tears of joy. But yeah, Kerr will be there next season. Mayra Ramirez, obviously, is going nowhere. They only signed her in January. So it creates a bit of a conundrum. Do you think the two of them could start together? I think that's the big question. Could they both play together?
I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think you can try, but they are both typical out-and-out number 9s. They don't like playing up there by, with another person. They're very much your lone striker. They're both. I mean, they're different in some ways, but I think they're very similar in the way they're very good in the air. They're very physical. And even if you do play them both together, having 2 strikers of the same kind of mould doesn't really gain you anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. That would be my comment as well. They're very similar players. They, in terms of, both great in the air.
Yeah.
Both love getting, running in behind, quite quick, good finishers. I think Ramirez is a bit more physical than Sam Kerr. She's very physically imposing, and we've seen that in the WSL this season. She bullies defences, and I think those two offer a really nice rotation. I just don't see them both starting together. And the other thing is, how do you fit them in together?
Yeah.
If they played a 4-4-2, well, instantly you're going to go, well, that takes out the attacking midfielder. So where does Lauren James play? Does she play on the left midfield, where I think her impact would be lessened?
And you lose Guro Wrighton.
Well, exactly. So that it's always going to create issues, whatever you do. The other option is some sort of 3-4-1-2, where you could play James as attack midfielder, the 2 strikers. You could still get Canaride in theory, as a wing back, but you do lose Guro. And do we want to play a 3-4-1-2? That's the big question.
Exactly.
I mean, it could work, but in theory, it could work. In practicality, would it? That's the big question. But yeah, I think obviously it's a lovely problem to have. So the obvious thing is to stick with the 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 type shape, which obviously Chelsea have used for most of this season. It does fit with what Bompastor tends to do. If you look at her Lyon side, they play a 4-3-3. The other thing they've done this season is play a 4-3-1-2. So if you were going to fit them both in again, then the thing is their stars clash so much. I just can't see how it works for me. That's the only issue with the two of them starting together. But other than that, they provide a really nice rotation. Because if you start Kerr, and after 60 minutes you need to make that change, on comes Mayra Ramirez, and you've got a slightly stronger version of Sam Kerr, who's got fresh legs to come on and run, or vice versa. If you bring off Ramirez, you bring on a slightly more technical version of her with fresh legs. So both are fantastic forwards. It's a luxury issue for Chelsea to have. The other thing then is, does Fishel get any game time? Because if Ramirez and Kerr are rotating, where are the minutes for Mia Fishel?
Yeah, Fishel's problem is, again, she is a similar mould of striker, a physical striker who's good in the air.
But just not quite that level.
Exactly. And, I mean, I think it's difficult with Kerr and Ramirez initially. To rotate between those two is ridiculous, because the conundrum is a Chelsea hero, one of the best strikers in the game, and has been for the last few years, or your record signing. That is such a problem to have. There's a positive and negative to every scenario. For Fishel, I think it's negative all the way through. there's no positives here for Mia Fishel, and for her, I think she could look for a move away.
Well, could it be a loan move? Is that a nice option? Because in my eyes, I see this Kerr 2-year extension as she's going to be heavily involved in the first team once she comes back this season. Realistically, it's only going to be 6 months for her because she won't be back before January. So either way, I think Ramirez starts now and Kerr is that rotation option. Obviously, with the amount of games Chelsea play, there's going to be a lot of rotation. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. And then for me, you'd be looking at, in 2026, Kerr starts to take a reduced role in the team, and Fishel could come in and really shine. But for me, a loan move might be perfect for her. Yeah. You could find a WSL club that plays a similar sort of role, needs a striker that can play to the level of Fishel. Yeah. I mean, it's a win-win really, because you strengthen another WSL team, provided it's not City or Arsenal, which you really think it's going to be. But you strengthen another WSL team to play against the other sides. Yeah. So if you, for example, go and give her to Liverpool, she could go and score against City, then she can't play against Chelsea. Yeah, so it could be quite a smart thing to do there. But I think that could be what they look to do, especially since Fishel, once she's back from injury, and we'd expect that again to be that sort of January time. She's unfortunate that she's not been fit during any of the Kerr injury period, because she would have had an opportunity there. But either way, Cat Macario can play that role, Beaver Jones can play that role, Lauren James can play that role, so there's definitely options there. I think this extends, actually, this issue of having too many players extends across that whole front line. Because on the right-hand side, you've got Hamano, Macario, Canaride, Beaver Jones, who can all start realistically. Yeah. Attacking midfield, I mean, you're going to be looking at, Macario could play there, Lauren James is probably going to start there, Shoka Nuskin. It's only the left-hand side, really, where unless you decide to play LJ there, you've only got Gura Wrighton. Aggie can play on that left, but she's definitely better on the right. So it is interesting. Chelsea have stacked up on strikers and right wingers now, but it is a really, really strong attack, of course.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I think I think that's the main point you have to take from this is, obviously it is quite a large squad. There are a lot of high quality players, and yes, might cause disgruntlement. It might cause players to be annoyed or disappointed that they're not getting game time. But overall, it is a lovely scenario to have, because Canaride's injured, I'll just put Cat Macario there. They're both injured, I'll put Aggie Beaver Jones there. If all three of them are somehow injured, you can still put Micah Hamano there.
Yeah. And if she gets injured as well, then we need to investigate what's happening. But yeah, I think it's laughable then when we see things like, there was the reported interest in Aitana Bonmati. I mean, that's definitely Bonmati's agent trying to con Barcelona out of a bit more money and pretending there's interest, but that would be a completely bizarre move, considering I don't see where she fits in that attack. A brilliant player, undoubtedly, but I don't see.
And that's the thing for Chelsea. I don't think there will. I doubt there'll be many signings. Saying that they broke the transfer record in January, I'm not expecting to see Chelsea to be the ones to break it again.
No, I think they would have pushed hard for Lena Oberdorf, but obviously she's moved to Bayern Munich. She'd have fitted that midfield really nicely. I wouldn't be surprised if I think a defensive midfielder is necessary. Sophie Ingles is obviously departing this summer, so a replacement for her is going to be crucial, because we've only got Cuthbert now in that role. So that for me would be the priority. I think they may look as well for a little bit more defensive cover. Yeah. Potentially, obviously, now that Mjelde is leaving this summer as well, I think they may look for that. Carter we could see leave this summer with Ann-Katrin Berger already in the US. So we'll see what happens there. But I think for Chelsea, the attack is sorted now. They might look for a young left winger, but I believe there's one coming through the academy, but I can't remember. I'm not very good at keeping up with the academy prospects. But I believe Chelsea have got some good players coming through. Course, so it'll be interesting to see how they get integrated into the first team. But yeah, and obviously the priority for Chelsea as well will be renegotiating contracts. They've got about 15 first team players out of contract next summer, something like that. So that's going to be, I think, the priority for Chelsea. But yeah, that is everything for this video. Please give your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Chelsea have a striker issue, and how do you think they should resolve it? Do you think Kerr and Ramirez, do you disagree with us, and do you think Kerr and Ramirez could coexist? I guess we'll see in the comments below. That was everything for us today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.